We're live. We are live with a disclaimer for JosyBun's channel. Hello, everybody. My name is JosyBun, and this is a disclaimer. So this is not the intro. This is merely a disclaimer because, and I have to put this at the very beginning because if I put it in the middle or at the end or after the intro, I know some people are going to skip it. If you are a nice, decent person or a person that's watching this video to genuinely see if their question has been answered or you asked a genuine question, this disclaimer is not for you. You can skip this part of the video. You can. And I'm not going to put a timestamp because I want the right people to see this. I got a lot of comments, a lot of mean, nasty, derogatory, insulting, misogynistic, hateful, volatile, awful comments. And let me tell you, I smiled as I deleted every single one of them because I am not going to let an impressionable young person or someone who is genuinely considering the procedure that I had done, I am not going to let them see your hate, your volatile words. I'm not going to let it happen. And also, if you're wondering, oh, why do you delete comments? Why do you delete comments of people disagreeing with you? First of all, because it's my fucking body. You don't get to disagree about the things that I do with my body. It's my body. The only person that has a say in my body is me, bitch. It's me. So I don't care if you're upset or if you think it's my job or whatever as a woman to do whatever. No, I don't care. And it's my channel. That's the great thing about YouTube, is it's my goddamn channel, and I can delete whoever I want from it and mute your ass. So best believe, I know I'm coming in hot. and I'm coming in hot at the right people. If you are here, genuinely, please stay. I'm a very kind person. This video is very lighthearted and fun. But I have to address the just absolute scum of the earth people that were commenting on the last video. And I do thank you guys later on in the video who were genuine, and my story helped you guys and it helped people make decisions that are so huge or so easy, and it just helped reaffirm you. And they don't have to have kids, and they don't have to want to have kids, and they can be young and make this decision, and a doctor will take you seriously. So if you're going to leave a comment that is negative at all towards women who seek out abortion care, towards women who seek out reproductive sterilization, not women, just anyone who wants to get a vasectomy or get their tubes removed or get them tied or get them, usually hysterectomy is not like a voluntary thing. Usually it's like you have something deadly that's like wrong with you and you need to get your whole uterus removed. But if you want that and you get that done, this video, if you have anything negative to say about anyone wanting any kind of reproductive surgery, know that your comment will be deleted. No one will see it but me. I have notifications on, and I will not be offended. I will not cry about it. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm literally going to smile. I'm going to laugh at you, and I'm going to say, that's fucking dumb, delete, and mute. So you will never get to comment on my videos ever again. Hello, hey, hi, hello guys, my name is JosyBun. Welcome back to my channel. This is not the usual content that I make on my channel. I am typically a fashion and DIY content creator here on YouTube. That is my bread and butter, that is what I like to do. I also make like thrifting content, sustainable fashion content. So if you are here from that or here for that, I do apologize, this video is not for you. However, a lot of you are probably here from my tubal removal surgery video. And if you aren't familiar with that or you haven't seen that one, I would recommend watching that one first. It's a great starter to this conversation that we're about to have. This is basically a Q&A and update for the like 6-month post-surgery update, because I had my surgery April 5th of 2022, so that was almost exactly 6 months ago, and I am extremely excited to answer all your guys' questions. But before I do, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much to literally everyone who interacted with the video, who watched it, shared it, commented on it, who gave the comments your stories as well as mine, because I'm just one person, right? And I think like over 3,000 people have seen the video now, and every month it's still my most viewed video. And your stories clearly helped so many people in the comments. Like, there were so many people who left amazing stories about their own life, about their own surgeries, about their own experiences, or about their own hopes, and the video really reassured them, and I think a lot of the comments did too. So I just want to let you know that if you guys shared your comment on that video about your experience with having your tubes tied or removed, or a vasectomy, or whatever your experience with either semi-permanent or permanent sterilization, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys have no idea how many lives you've impacted with sharing your story, and I do not take for granted the amount of lives that I have, influenced. I don't want to say changed, because I don't think I've changed anybody's life with this, but I do think I have had some influence on a community of people who need this content, because this is really this is huge stuff, and it doesn't often get talked about, and it doesn't often get talked about by people in their 20s. And I think a lot of people, especially with the state of the country that it's in now, and the laws that are going into effect that affect so many people with, their reproductive health and their family planning, and I don't think that this video could have come at a better time. So I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for 20 minutes, but I realize that this is a very long video because I have a lot of questions to answer with a lot of depth to them. So let's go ahead and jump right into the questions you guys had for me, because most of them were so amazing. There were some bad ones, which I did do a disclaimer. And if the audio is funny, it's because I record audio on my phone, and I'm having to read the questions off my phone, so please don't be mad if the audio is poor. I did actually film this before, but I have gotten quite a few comments since then, so I did just want to get those out and read them. Right off the bat, there's a comment, and I'm not going to say any usernames because I don't know if you guys, it's not like they're super private, because they're all, the usernames are all in the original video, so if you really wanted to know who said that, you could go find out. But just to protect people's privacy, I am not going to be saying who asked what question, and there were a lot of repeat questions as well, so just for privacy's sake, I'm not going to say any names. But this person shared their story, and another person commented, "Would you please share your post-op recovery?" And they did, and then they replied, "Thank you very much for sharing," and then they shared their own story. It's just so beautiful. This was a repeat question that I had a lot of people asking. Have you experienced any side effects or changes since the procedure? Have you experienced anything abnormal or anything you couldn't find after doing your research? And the answer to that one is really easy, because no. I am now 6 months post-op. Immediately after surgery, yes, of course, I had side effects with the medications. I had side effects from the procedure. I had, I had issues, right? Basic, very basic issues, standard, not super scary. But after I healed in 2 or 3 weeks, nothing. Just absolutely nothing. I have 2 tiny scores. Maybe 3, but one's in my belly button, so I can't see it, so it doesn't matter. Absolutely not. Yeah, no. Nothing weird at all. I'm happy to report. So that might not be the answer you were looking for, but it is my answer. And I will talk about the side effects from right after surgery as well a little bit later on. Have your periods changed? And then there was another one that had to do with coming off of birth control and your menstrual cycle and period changing. So I got quite a few questions about my period and my menstrual cycle. So I did want to go into this a little bit more in depth, because I don't think I mentioned it, or I mentioned it passingly in the original video. So when you have your tubes tied, right? And I'm going to try to insert the same little diagram that I crudely drew up myself, so it's not by any means an accurate representation of your internal organs, but it's just a general vibe, right? For what's going on down there and what happens when you get them removed. So for me, and in case you haven't seen the original video, I did not have my tubes tied, like the video is kind of titled, but I had my tubes fully removed. So instead of clamping them to each other, my tubes are just gone. They're cut out and gone. They don't exist anymore. I can't reverse the surgery. It's permanent. Same legal name for the procedure, but it's a different method of doing it. So, while the name and like tying your tubes is still what it's called, it's not actually tying your tubes because they're fully getting rid of them. So just in case you were confused, my tubes are not tied, they are fully gone. So how the reproductive system works when you have a uterus, right? So you have your uterus is like the main bit, and then you have your tubes that go into your eggs, right? Or your ovaries. So it's like the main blob, and then whoop, and so my whoop is now gone. Does that make sense? Like, my tubes are gone. I still have a uterus, and that uterus is still going to shed. So to answer your question, I was on birth control, and I was on a birth control that stopped my period. So I was on, I believe it was Junel. It might have been Lolarestrin, or a generic of one of those two. I have been on every pill on the market because it would change every few months because of insurance reasons. So I don't quite remember the last one I was on. But I do know that the last two I was on completely stopped my period. So I was without a menstrual cycle for about a year. I've been on birth control though for about 5 years. So, cause I started birth control right before I actually started seeing my boyfriend, and I was maybe 21 years old when we started dating, and now I'm 25. So I have been on birth control for about 5 years now, prior to my surgery. And the last year that I was on birth control, I did not have a period or a menstrual cycle at all. I did have monthly symptoms where like my anxiety would spike. I would have different mental health issues around when I would have a period, but I had no actual bleeding. So I would still like cramp, and I would still, you know what I mean? I would still have some physical symptoms, just no actual blood. Just a TMI. I know you guys are curious, and I'm an open book. I don't care about sharing this kind of stuff. I really don't. I don't care if you guys know what my period is like. That's fine. If you think it's gross or weird, just know that a lot of people asked about it. So that's why I'm telling you guys. So when I had my surgery, I had to make a decision on whether or not I wanted to stay on birth control, because it was really a toss-up for me. Like, I liked not having a period. I also liked the extra security of being on birth control, just like the double, triple, quadruple security of having birth control. I didn't like the emotional effects. I also felt like it made me not gain weight, but keep weight on that I should have been losing. Like, it's been a little easier for me to lose weight or to like not gain weight constantly. So I have no idea if that had anything to do with that pill. That could be totally coincidental. It also doesn't help when you have a boyfriend who always snacks, because you want to snack with him and he doesn't get any weight and you gain all the weight. It's just like kind of annoying. Yeah, that was definitely a concern of mine with birth control. So I had to make a choice when I came off the surgery if I was going to continue my birth control or not. And I ultimately decided, well, first of all, I had to recover from my surgery, so I really didn't have time to go refill my prescription. And then after a few weeks turned into like a couple months, and then a couple months turned into 6 months, and I still haven't gone back to get it. And I don't know if I will, just because like I like how I feel off birth control a lot better. Of course, there are the negative side effects like bleeding, and like potentially ruining nice undergarments or pants, or sheets, or like whatever. But like that's really the only con. And like I get worse cramps, I guess, when I bleed. That's fine. I can deal with it. But yeah, my period, when it started to come back, because again, I didn't have one for a full year, the first month was spotting. I didn't have any real bleeding. I just spotted. And then the next month after that, it was a little bit heavier and a little bit heavier until I reached my normal, which is like moderate to heavy flow. So like I'm back where I was before I got on birth control and before like my cycle stopped and all of that. So my period did eventually normal out. It did take a couple months for it to get there. But that was strictly because I stopped using my birth control. If I had a normal period when I had the surgery, I would continue to have a normal period afterwards. Having your tubes tied or removed does not mean you will not have a period again. I've seen some people under the impression that having your tubes tied or removed also means you don't get any more periods, and that is inaccurate. That is not true, because your period has nothing to do with your tubes. It just means an egg was not fertilized. Therefore, the uterine lining has to shed, and the uterus is untouched during this procedure. They do not touch your uterus. So you do continue to have a period. However, you likely will have a very normal period afterwards. So that is that on periods. So just so you know, that is on birth control and on periods. Will I ever go back on birth control? I have no idea. Honestly, for right now, no. But in the future, who knows, I might, because I don't like having a period. I don't like bleeding. But when I got off of birth control, my libido went up. I started feeling a little bit more normal. My mental health improved. I had the worst mental health crisis of my life, in October of 2021, and it lasted until January 2022. And it had a lot to do with medical issues. I was having a lot of physical pain. I was having like literally debilitating pain, like couldn't get out of bed for days, pain. I was in the worst depression of my life, and I don't think birth control caused it, but I don't think it made it better. Yeah, I'm happy to be off of it. And who knows, maybe I'll go back on it someday, but not for the moment. This isn't necessarily a question, but I did want to talk about it in this video as well. It says, I'm 29 and getting this done in 4 days. My husband and I have never had kids and don't want any. He suggested he get a vasectomy, but I was very adamant that I'm the one who gets sterilized, LOL. He's worried sick about me though, and I don't know how to make him feel better. If I were to phrase this as a question as to how to comfort a nervous significant other, right? I would honestly, if they can't come in with you for the appointment, because I know with COVID and just other things, usually it's patient and practitioner and maybe a nurse, and no one else is allowed in the room usually now these days. But if I were going to give a stressed out or concerned or worried partner any consolation, I would say that this surgery is extremely routine. Many people undergo getting their tubes tied or removed. It is extremely safe. It is extremely non-invasive as well. I have 3 scars. So there's 3 points of incision, and I'll actually, maybe I can show you. I'm not gonna take off my clothes or show you that, but I can show you. So it's right, under my tummy, right there, and then my belly button. So the belly button, that's where the camera goes for the procedure. So they fill you up with gas so that they can push all your organs up safely. It's safe to do. They do it for every laparoscopic surgery. Laparoscopic just means there's a camera inserted into your belly button, and that is why they fill your tummy up with gas. It pushes all your organs up so that they can see your tubes and your uterus and all of those things. They can take pictures, the before and after photos. I have before and after photos of my uterus, so I could prove that I no longer have tubes. I'm not going to show those because they're extremely graphic. It's literal human organs. I don't want to show you guys. It's traumatizing. That part is private. I will not be sharing the photos with you guys. It is really cool though, so if you get it done, ask for pictures, because they can take them, and they will take them. If I'm comforting consoling a spouse who's worried about his partner or her partner who is choosing to have this done for whatever reason, I would say this is extremely routine. This is not experimental surgery. This is not and usually it's even better too because a gynecologist is the one doing it, and usually it's your gynecologist. So for me, I had to find a new one, but even still, it's the gynecologist I'm going to stay with for the rest of however long she's practicing in my area. I'm very comfortable with her, and usually if you get really lucky and you're with a gynecologist that you've been with forever, the chances are she's known this doctor or they've known this doctor since they were 18, usually. Maybe even before then, maybe a little later, whenever they started seeing that gynecologist, this is a doctor they're very familiar with, comfortable with. This is a doctor that knows them and cares about them. Usually they are extremely skilled and trained in this surgery. This is not a very dangerous surgery. Every surgery comes with danger. Every surgery, depending on your body, how you respond to being put under, how you respond to waking up from that, how you respond to being operated on, that is always going to be different and always kind of a crapshoot if you've never done it before. But this surgery is extremely low risk, and honestly, I don't know if this is the right way to word it, but I will say I am grateful. This was my first surgery ever, you guys. I have no prior experience being in a hospital, being in a recovery room, going under for surgery, other than like having my wisdoms removed, which to me is extremely different because you're like sitting up in a chair like you would at the dentist. And like, yeah, you have an IV and you have the mask on, and it's very similar in that sense. But it's so different for so many reasons, and surgery, especially on an operating table, can be extremely traumatizing and scary for a lot of people because most people don't get a choice on whether or not they go on that table. And I have to say, I am extremely grateful that my first surgery was not an emergency. It was voluntary, and I was in control of the situation. I could say, no, I want to stop at any point. So I'm not recommending if you don't want to get sterilized, like, don't do it just for the experience of having a fairly safe surgery being done on you, just to experience surgery. But like, I am glad that my first surgery experience was like that. I'm glad that my first surgery was this, because now if I ever do need like emergency surgery, or if I'm ever in a medical emergency, I know what to expect now, and I know that I'm gonna get through it, and I know my reactions to like the different drugs and stuff that they use, and like I can take that with me for all my other, like all my next experiences. So honestly, like if you're interested in having this done, I think it's a great, if you've never had surgery before and you're thinking about getting this done, it is really nice life skills, just because we all hopefully never have to endure a surgery that's not planned, or a surgery that like is life or death. But if you have this experience with you, I think it is nice to have that, like, I don't know, I think it's nice to have that experience, because it really, going under was extremely terrifying for me, and the surgery was really scary because I've never had surgery before and I didn't know what to expect, and now I do. So that's really awesome. I thought I was going to be in debilitating pain for like weeks on end, and like, I wasn't. It was great. So yeah, that's how I would word it. I would just be like, hey, this is a routine procedure. Like, I'm gonna be fine. You might need to take a couple days off work to like help me around, or like open things for me, like, or lift things for me, or like drive me around. Honestly, I would say the scariest part of the surgery was like getting in the car right after, because it's an outpatient procedure. You're not in the hospital for long. You're in the recovery for like maybe 45 to 2 hours, depending on how it went. But after that, they kick you out, unless they like need you overnight. But like, I can't imagine why they would do that. But yeah, after surgery, when you get in the car and you have to put the seatbelt right over where the incisions were, didn't hurt at all to drive home. But I will say it was scary, because I was really worried. I was like, if we get into an accident, I'm really afraid of being in cars and driving and all of that. And you can't drive yourself home. Someone else drives you home. But even then, I was really worried, like, oh my God, if we get into an accident, like, something could happen to my incisions. Like, I could get really hurt. Like, that was the scariest part. And that's like nothing, you know what I mean? It's like nothing. So like, just don't worry about it. You'll be okay. You'll be sore. You'll be, in some pain. But you, like, there's not a lot of risk involved. You know what I mean? Like, there's only good things, really, for the most part. Unless you're part of a very, very small percentage of people where something goes wrong. But if you trust your doctor and you find a good one, I don't think you have much to worry about. Okay, let's see. There's a comment. Thank you so much for this. I thought I was weird. And this is, again, isn't a question, but I just want to say, like, judging, there's 83 comments on this video. There are thousands of views on this video alone. And I looked it up. There are many other videos on YouTube about young women who've had their tubes tied. And let me just say, they have like 63,000, 100,000, whatever views. You are absolutely not weird if you want to have your tubes tied, removed, if you want to be sterilized, if you want a vasectomy. You are not weird or strange. If you are self-aware enough to know you don't want children, or you wouldn't be a good parent, that's a good thing. I read this amazing story from this 83-year-old woman who did answered a question on Reddit. Like, who knows if it's real? It might not be real, but it definitely, it hit something in me that is very real. And she was like, I'm 83, I never had kids, and I'm so excited that I never had kids, and I have lived such an amazing full life with my husband, who passed away earlier this year, whatever. And she was like, there's like 3 or 4 categories of people. People who don't have children and are really happy about it. People who have children and are really excited and happy about it for the rest of their lives. People who have children and regret it. And that last one is a lot of people. That last one is a debilitating number of people. And those people either are amazing parents, but just found disfulfillment in themselves. Like they did not feel fulfilled, or like it was right for them and they did it anyway. And that's like, maybe they gave a beautiful life to their children, but like wished they hadn't had, children, and nothing against their children, but like they didn't want them and they had them out of societal pressure to have a family. And that's heartbreaking, right? They felt like they could have done better things with their career or changed the world, and instead they had children like they thought they were supposed to, and their lives were lesser because of, or their lives were different than they wanted because of. And maybe they don't really regret children necessarily, but they do think their lives would be better and or different if they didn't have them, and maybe that thought crosses their mind. And other people who regret having children and abuse them or put them in the foster system, which is hell. Or like, you know what I mean? There's an infinite number of things, where they neglect their children, or, you know what I mean? And that is truly tragic. That is truly tragic, because it was a societal expectation, have those kids, and then they hate them. They hate them and they take it out on them. And that's awful. So you are not weird for knowing you don't want to have children and wanting to make sure that never happens, because trust me, that is a lot of people, and a lot of people who've had kids do regret it. And I'm not saying that's a majority of people, but I am saying a lot of people do and end up not loving their life as much in the long run. Some people have asked me to share the doctor's information that I used, which I will not be doing. I will say I did submit my doctor's information to the Google Doc that was listed in the first description from the first video. It will also be in this one. So just so you guys know, so my doctor's name should be on there, but I will not tell you which name it is. And that's just for privacy reasons. My doctor's local, and there are, judging by the volatile comments I got on my first video, I do not doubt that there are some wild people who will be seeing this video who would love to do me some bodily harm. So I will not be sharing that information because I don't want to be found by those people. But I will say some tips on finding a doctor who will do this procedure for you. And these are just some general loose guidelines. First of all, do your research. Go online in your local area. I would say there are definitely differences in the doctors that told me no and the doctor that ended up telling me yes. I will tell you those physical differences. My doctor was a woman, but I've had many women tell me no. My doctor was a young, new professional woman to the medical field. She was probably in her 30s. I don't know exactly how old I don't know her birthday, but judging by her looks, she looked like she was in her mid 30s, maybe late 30s. Definitely, got a more progressive vibe from her, because obviously, like, she didn't make me tell her a sob story. She was just like, you want to have this done? You understand that it's permanent? Okay, great. Let's get a date set and let's have, a little bit of a deeper talk about the ramifications of the surgery, just so you know what you're getting into and just so we can sign some paperwork together and get this rolling. But immediately she was like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, when are you free? I scheduled 2 weeks out. And I was like, 2 weeks? I thought I'd have to wait months. Yeah, I walked into her office and I was like, hey, I want this done. She was like, okay, cool. Put those feet in those stirrups. Let's get your pap done, babe. I was like, oh my God. I went in the parking lot and I cried because I was so relieved and excited. Or send them an email and be like, hey, this is something I'm considering. Will you consider that if I come in? Like, is that something we can talk about, or are you just going to say no? You know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to email people and be like, hey, just a quick question for this person. I know I have to have an appointment, but like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would say just, especially young woman doctor usually is more reasonable with this procedure. So that's who I would look for. Okay, was the surgery painful? What is the recovery time? And what can and can't you do post? I think is the last question that I have. Please update us if anything changes with surgery. Yeah, okay, this is the last question, which is good because this video was like 40 minutes long. What was it? Okay, there were 3 questions in it, so let me go back. Okay, was the surgery painful? Yes and no. Was it the most painful thing I've ever endured? Absolutely not, no. I would liken it to, so there are separate categories I want to talk about with this procedure. The actual surgery, pain from surgery, and the pain from side effects that may or may not be completely different for each individual who has the procedure done. So the actual surgery, and just keep in mind, my pain tolerance may be higher or lower than yours. Most people describe this as a very mild surgery. I would agree with that. I would agree. I would say it's still surgery, so don't think that, you know, a lot of people are like, it's outpatient, in 2 days you're back to work, and some people are. Let me get that right out of the way. Some people are right back to work in a few days. I was not one of those people. And I would say that if your job has anything to do with any form of physical labor at all, I'm talking retail, I'm talking food service, I'm talking anything where you're on your feet for most of the day, or lifting boxes, or working with tools of any kind, or anything like that, I would say you're probably not going to be back to work in 2 or 3 days. Probably not. Just gonna be 100% honest with my experience. If I was working a job like that, I would not have been going back to work in 2 or 3 days. If you have a desk job that is remote, maybe you might be back to work in 2 or 3 days. If you can like sit at a desk comfortably, or sit in bed and work, or sit on the couch, you might be working. Like, that is possible. The pain wasn't that bad. So the actual pain of surgery. So to do this, I might have to describe a little bit of what the surgery was like. And I probably should do that. Should I make another video? This one's gonna be like 50 minutes long, you guys. This is annoying. I'm sorry, I talk so much. Right when you wake up from surgery, there's a few notable pain points, right? One is where the IV is in your wrist, and that goes in while you are awake and conscious, and you can see and feel that go in. And then the next thing you notice, because that's still in your arm when you wake up, they don't take that out till you're like ready to go. The next thing you're gonna notice is a lot of throat pain. They do use a breathing tube, but that goes in once you're under, and it comes out while you're still under. So you don't experience them intubating, you don't experience them putting the tube down your throat or taking it out. I was really afraid of that. I was also really afraid of catheters. They put that in and took that out while I was under. I didn't actually have any pain from the catheter, which I thought I would have some pain, but I did not, so that was cool. But where the breathing tube was in my throat, I could very much feel it. It was extremely sore and scratchy. It felt like a really bad cold, right? That's what it felt like. So not too bad, not like traumatizing, not scarred for life from that, but it was a very distinct feeling of like, ow, my throat hurts, you know? Like I woke up and I was like, oh, that's not nice. There was like a little bit of like sort of tingling, burning, like I would say, think of a paper cut, but just a little bit bigger and in 3 places. So again, I showed you, it's like right, if you have a tummy, it's like right under your tummy, or like if you have a flat stomach, like it's right, like you have your belly button in the middle and then like 2 little incisions on the sides, right? I'll try to draw you a diagram, or I'll use the one from the last video to like kind of illustrate where the pain is going to be. I had what felt like a stomach cramp, like a bad menstrual stomach cramp. So again, these aren't like debilitating symptoms. So along the incision sites, I did have a slight like burning, like paper cut type sensation, which is like, I want to say extremely normal, because like you were just cut open. You're gonna expect some pain, right? But it wasn't bad. Mostly I was just concerned that I was going to ruin my incisions. So mine were filled with dissolvable stitches. And then also like, I think she said they were like skin glued, but I didn't feel any. Yeah, there was like a glue over them. I remember. So I also had these like mesh they put like these really glamorous white like mesh gauzy underwear on you after surgery. So you go home with that, along with like you wake up in your gown and your weird mesh underwear, the granniest of panties. Literally, they're bad. But I was really scared to take them off because I was really scared stuff was gonna stick to my incisions. So helpful tip, actually, if you're getting this done, wear a t-shirt dress in. Like, I don't care what your gender presentation is, wear a t-shirt dress, okay? If you're having your tubes removed or tied, bring on that t-shirt dress. I swear to God, it was the best choice. Don't wear anything with an elastic band that gets tight around your tummy. Just don't. You're gonna be bloated. You're gonna be nervous that things are gonna catch on it. I swear, a t-shirt dress saved me, because all I had to do was slip it on over my head. I didn't have to fuss with pants or buttons or zippers or elastic. T-shirt dress, slip-on shoes. 10 out of 10 would wear again to surgery. And I looked great going in and coming out. And I had a big old cozy cardigan too that I wore. So I had like an actual outfit on, but it was an outfit that was surgery approved. So those are like the immediate pains. The next few days, the gas that they use to push all your organs up so they can see what they're doing inside of you, that travels up your back and into your shoulders, and it is pretty painful. But like, I would say, like, if you've had vaccines and you have that like arm pain, it's kind of similar to that, just in a different area. So it's like mostly in your upper neck and like mid shoulder area. You just kind of have to keep going like that to push the gas out or to absorb it, you know what I mean? And it's not gas like farting and burping. It's not that kind of gas. It doesn't come out that way. It just is dissolved into the rest of your body over the couple of days after surgery. So it can be kind of weird and kind of painful, and you're going to be bloated, but it's like not bad. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say the first few days were about a 3, 4. My pain specifically came from side effects from my pills, my pain pills. So they gave me a narcotic to take home, and I was really scared about throwing up on the narcotic. I was really scared about potentially being addicted to the narcotic. Neither of those things happened, but a lovely third thing happened where I didn't have a bowel movement for 5 days after surgery. 5 days. And I ate regularly during those 5 days. So if it had reached day 6 with no bowel movement, I would have taken myself to the ER, because I was so blocked up. And this is very TMI. I was in a very sad state that 5th day. The 4th day was pretty bad, but the 5th day was the worst. I didn't leave the bathroom for most of the day. I was literally like on physical therapy TikTok, like the poo doctors that are like telling you how to have a BM easier. It was traumatic. Honestly, that was the most traumatic part of the surgery, was just having to figure out how to get it out. And like waddling on the floor and like squatting and trying to get like this is foul, but this is my reality, and I'm gonna let you know about it. Because it was the most painful part of the surgery. Had nothing to do with the actual surgery. Yes, having surgery can make you constipated. Yes, being on narcotics can make you constipated. I was doing everything in my power. I was eating fiber, eating apples every day. I was like, apple a day keeps the tracks flowing. It didn't. It just blocked me up more. I was drinking coffee. I was drinking prune juice. I was drinking cranberry juice. I was drinking all the juices. I was having fruit smoothies, yogurt, trying to, make that digestive tract work. I was taking supplements. I ended up taking a laxative. Do not do this on purpose, but I had my boyfriend go out and get me a laxative chocolate bar, and I thought 1 dose was 1 bar. So I ate the whole bar on the toilet. I did it. I'm sorry. Come to find out, after reading the back of the box, that 1 dose is 1 square on 1 bar. So I had 12 doses of a laxative. Ended up being the only thing that helped. I had no negative side effects from that. Thank God. If you do accidentally OD on that, drink a lot of water, drink some Gatorade. If you have no history of an ED, then you should be good. I called the emergency number on the back of the box. I said, oh my God, I just had surgery. I'm super backed up. I accidentally took the whole bar. Am I gonna die? And they were like, no, you'll be fine. I was like, cool. was like, do I have to go to the hospital? And they were like, no, you'll be okay. Just monitor yourself. Make sure you're not losing too many fluids. And I didn't. I went completely normally after that. And after all of the demons were pushed out of my body, this is horrific to say on the internet, by the way. So like just now, I'm a brave soldier for telling you guys about my BMs on this channel. Like, for real. That was the worst side effect from the pills. So just know you might want to prepare some Gas X or just like a little laxative every day. Just take a little bit every single day while you're taking your narcotic. Ask your doctor about it, the likelihood of you also experiencing that. What can and can't you do post-surgery? So this far out, my life is completely normal. I can do whatever I could do before the surgery. That is completely fine. Right after surgery, I want to say, I didn't do any of these things for 3 weeks because that is when my post-op appointment was. So that was when I went back to my doctor to review my stitching, to review my incisions, to review the procedure, and like just talk about it. But I was like pretty much up and running by the end of that, like 2 weeks. So like, again, day 5 was really rough because of the BM, and then day 6 was really rough just because of the aftermath of the BM. But like then the next week after that, I was pretty much good. And then the week after that, I was definitely good, but I wanted to wait before I returned to physical therapy, working out, excessive exercise, or any exercise really other than walking, or walking great distances. You can't swim, take an actual bath. You can take a shower, but you can't take a bath. You can't submerge yourself in water below the waist, right? You can't drive a car while you're on a narcotic, obviously. So while you're being medicated, do not get behind the wheel of a car. I would say I didn't get in a car for 2 weeks because I didn't have to. I could, do my work on the computer. But I didn't drive because like where the seatbelt goes over is like right over your incisions. So I wanted to be extra safe. So I didn't really get in the car much after my surgery until I knew my incisions were like good, and if I got into an accident it would be fine. That I'm just extra anxious and precautious though, so like do with that what you will. That was just like, I felt like a pretty risky move for me because I live in a place where there's like a lot of accidents, so I wanted to be extra careful and like have intercourse. That's like, those are the things like you can't or shouldn't do immediately following surgery, and you shouldn't do them until you feel comfortable and safe enough to do those things again. So for me, that was until my post-op appointment, so I had to wait 3 weeks to do like all my regular stuff. But like, not really my regular stuff. Really the only regular thing I was missing out on was physical therapy, because I was in physical therapy for a back injury. And I didn't want to sweat and ruin the incision or lift something too heavy and pull a stitch or something. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to do that and have to like go to the doctor and go to the ER. Yeah, those are the things that I was particularly concerned with, and that I made sure were good to go before I started doing them again. Most post-op appointments are 2 weeks out, but I forgot to schedule mine. So mine were a little bit later. Mine was a week later than it was supposed to be, but I still waited that extra time before doing any of those activities. But yeah, right away there's just a few things, and like most people aren't like swimming all the time. Most people aren't like, I can't go a few weeks without swimming. And most people don't take baths every day. So if you're not doing those things, or like working out extremely every day, so you might have to take a couple weeks off working out, and that's like really the main thing, or like a couple days off work. So that is really it. All in all, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week with another video, probably a fashion related video. But again, if you have any comments or questions or concerns, please leave them in the comments below. I love you so much, and I will see you next week.